What's up everyone, it's United Weather here. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the latest information on Tropical Storm Helene, which is currently sitting just to the east of the Yucatan Peninsula and is expected to strengthen into a major hurricane before eventually making landfall somewhere in the Big Bend area in Florida sometime Thursday evening. So taking a look at the latest outlook from the National Hurricane Center here, this is as of 8 a.m. this morning. You can see we have Tropical Storm Helene just off the eastern coast of the Yucatan Peninsula with 70-mile-per-hour winds. That is 5 miles per hour below a hurricane. So again, I would not be surprised to see this upgraded to a hurricane in the next few hours here, maybe even by the time I upload this video. We do have some hurricane warnings up for the eastern coast of the Yucatan Peninsula. We also do have tropical storm warnings up for pretty much the entire state of Florida here, with the exception of the western part of the Panhandle. We also do have hurricane warnings up for the Big Bend area going all the way further north into southern Georgia. If you were in any of these warnings, you should be starting to prepare right now. If you are not already prepared, you're definitely going to be seeing some impacts from the storm in one way or another, especially with how wide the storm is expected to be. Even if you're not in the cone of uncertainty, you're still going to be seeing some tropical storm, maybe even hurricane impacts from this system. So taking a look at some of the model guidance here, this is the GFS model. And as you can see, by 7 a.m. Thursday morning, we do have a pretty nice system down here just off the southwest coast. Do keep in mind the GFS model and the European model are not great for strength of hurricanes, so I think this is definitely a little bit underdone. As you see, it's only a weak category 1 at 987 millibars at this point. I don't know how accurate that is, probably not very accurate. The only thing that this should really be used for is the track and the timing, so just don't pay attention to the strength too much here on the low resolution global forecast models. So as you can see, if we move forward here, this is by 7 p.m. on Thursday. It makes landfall right in the Big Bend as a 954 millibar storm. It looks like the timing for this is going to be Thursday evening. As I said last video, not much has changed with that. 7, 8, maybe even 9 p.m. if this slows down a little bit. That's when you can expect to see that eye wall move on shore here in the Big Bend area. And it does continue to move to the north, even into the Atlanta metro area here. This would be very early on Friday morning, going into the rush hour on Friday morning. That's when you could be seeing the worst of the impacts, especially in areas in Atlanta, North Carolina, South Carolina. That's when you could be seeing the worst impacts from this storm. And keep in mind, you can see how strong this is still. This would be a hurricane by the time it's nearing Atlanta. So we could really be seeing some hurricane impacts in the Atlanta metro area, which is really rare. And on top of that, you can see these kind of orange reddish colors. That is very heavy rain. So on top of the winds from this, flooding is also going to be a very big impact for the Atlanta metro area. I would not be surprised to see pretty much everything there shut down Friday morning. If you were thinking about going to work Friday morning in the Atlanta area, I would advise against it. I don't even think it's going to be possible to drive in this weather in the Atlanta area on Friday morning. And if you take a look at the rainfall totals here, you can see exactly what I'm saying. These yellowish colors here would be 10 plus inches of rain, getting all the way up to maybe even a foot of rain. And keep in mind, this is in a very, very short period of time. This storm is going to be moving very quickly. So this is in, a 6, maybe 8 hour time period here that you're going to be getting 10, maybe even 12 inches of rain falling in these areas here. To the western part of the storm, you guys are not really going to be seeing much out of this. So flooding is definitely going to also be a big problem here, especially further inland with this storm. So taking a look at the European forecast model here, pretty similar to the GFS model. You can see it makes landfall pretty much the same time, 7 p.m. Thursday evening. So pretty much both models are in agreement on the timing there. And also the strength, again, 950 millibars. I don't know how accurate the strength is. I'm going to say it's going to be a little bit stronger than what these models are showing. I would expect a category 3 to make landfall here, but we'll take a look at that on the hurricane models in a second. It does have the same general idea, a pretty strong storm here moving into the Atlanta metro area early on Friday morning. So again, anywhere in this circle here, I would advise against doing anything Friday morning or having any plans Friday morning. It's probably going to be impossible to really do anything anyways, but just plan ahead. Stay inside Friday morning. It should clear out by Friday night, luckily. It is a pretty fast moving storm, so it's not like you're going to be stuck inside all day. As you can see, by Friday afternoon, Friday evening, it's already pretty much done with, maybe some gusty winds as the storm kind of decays over you, but not going to be as bad as Friday morning. So now is definitely the time to plan ahead. And taking a look at the rainfall totals here, you can see pretty similar to the GFS model. You have this very big area here of 10 plus inches of rain here further inland. And obviously it does keep pretty much all of Florida pretty dry. I don't know if I'm buying this. I think especially with some of those feeder bands that move across the state here, I think we'll see some pretty high rain totals in Florida as well. So I'm not really buying the rainfall totals here for Florida. This is a low resolution model, so it doesn't show those feeder bands too well. So Florida, I think you guys could see anywhere from, 2 to 4 inches of rain for pretty much the entire state, with some isolated amounts even higher if you guys get stuck in one of those feeder bands, which we did see with Hurricane Debbie. Some areas saw a foot plus of rain, especially along the coastal areas with Debbie, even though it was not really making landfall in southern Florida. But of course, it's not going to be anything too crazy like we're going to see in northern Georgia with those amounts of 10 plus inches of rain. So taking a look at the hurricane models here, this is the HAFSA hurricane model. This is a low resolution model. And as you can see, 4 p.m. on Thursday evening, you start to get these feeder bands have already moved through the area. This is the main feeder band here, just on the coast of Florida here, moving into the Big Bend area. And it is down to 929 millibars. Now keep in mind, this is only one hurricane model. There are multiple, which I will be showing you. So 929 millibars, that would be a category 4 hurricane, maybe category 5, depending on the winds they find with this. But this will definitely be a very powerful major hurricane at this point. Much stronger than, the GFS and the European model we're showing. And as we continue to move forward here, you can see it makes landfall 7 p.m. on Thursday, which all models are in agreement on this timing. You can see the core right through the Big Bend area at 7 p.m. and it does eventually move to the north. Still a very strong storm early Friday morning, 979 millibars here in northern Georgia. And you also have that very heavy rainfall here happening pretty much across the entire southeastern United States. So pretty much in agreement with the GFS and the European model in terms of the heavy rainfall, in terms of the timing, and in terms of the actual track of the storm. The only thing that is not in agreement on with the European and the GFS model is the strength, which would be much stronger than what they were showing. Now taking a look at another hurricane model here, this is the HWRF, which I personally think is probably the best hurricane model to use in my experience with tracking hurricanes. Compared to our other hurricane model, you can see it is a little bit weaker. It's not going to make that much of a difference. It's still going to be a major hurricane, whether it's 928 millibars or 940 millibars as shown here. That would still be a category 3, maybe even a category 4 hurricane, just off the coast of the Big Bend here. And this would be 4 p.m. on Thursday, so pretty similar timing. It eventually makes landfall 7 p.m. Thursday as a 943 millibar storm. You can see this kind of entire area here, very heavy rain. This will be very strong winds, probably in excess of 120 miles an hour at this point as it makes landfall as a 943 millibar storm. And it eventually does continue to move to the north, similar to our other forecast models. 4 a.m. on Friday morning, very heavy rain in northern Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, very heavy rain, strong wind gusts. I think you guys get the point by now. Pretty much every model is in agreement on this. And as we can move forward throughout the day, it kind of eventually does decay here a little bit. This would be a Friday evening, 4 p.m. This is now sitting just over northwestern Tennessee. It does weaken a little bit slower than what the GFS and the European model were showing, and of course that is because it is much stronger, so it'll still be pretty strong Friday evening, Friday afternoon. But I would expect the worst of the impacts to pretty much be done by midday on Friday, maybe even a little bit later, 2 to 3 p.m. on Friday. And taking a look at one of our low resolution models, this is the NAM model. And this is just to give you guys an idea of the rain with this system. Do not use the NAM model for forecasting hurricane strength because it is very bad. I will say that. This is just to give you guys an idea of the rain in a more localized aspect here. You can see, as I mentioned, some of these areas here in Western Florida from these feeder bands getting up to 6, maybe even 8 inches of rain in some localized spots. You also have a very widespread area up here in northern Georgia, southeastern Tennessee, northwestern South Carolina, and North Carolina of up to a foot, maybe even more than that, of rain. So again, flooding is going to be a very big problem, especially further inland with this storm. So you definitely want to prepare for that. Even if you're not too freaked out by the winds, flooding is definitely going to be a very big problem. Now, last but not least, taking a look at the storm surge here, pretty similar to what we saw in yesterday's video. If you guys did see that, 1 to 3 feet of storm surge in the Keys, nothing too crazy. The very extreme southwestern coast of Florida here, all the way up to Englewood, 3 to 5 feet of storm surge, as well as, Mexico Beach here, 2 to 4 foot, maybe even up to 5 feet of storm surge with that. Tampa Bay area, Sarasota, Tampa Bay, all the way up to about the Clearwater area, 5 to 8 feet of storm surge, all the way up to 9 feet possible. It is pretty rare that Tampa Bay sees storm surge up to 9 feet, but it is definitely possible with this storm. So if you're in the Tampa Bay area, I know a lot of people in the Tampa Bay area have been kind of downplaying the system, saying that nothing too bad is going to happen, but that is certainly not the case. This is going to be a very dangerous situation in the Tampa Bay area with up to 9 feet of storm surge possible. Please do listen to officials in that area if they do tell you to evacuate. And going further north here, you can see we have this small area here of 6 to 10 feet of storm surge, and of course in the Big Bend area 10 to 15 feet of storm surge, which would be deadly. If you were along the coast here, evacuate. I would not even think about being along the immediate coast here. There's really honestly no way to survive 15 feet of storm surge if you were along the immediate coastal areas here in the Big Bend area. So if you haven't already, head further inland. I mean, even further inland, it's going to be pretty bad, but you're not going to be dealing with 15 feet of storm surge. Even here along the Georgia coast and the South Carolina coast, 1 to 3 feet of storm surge. Nothing too crazy. Again, this is a very big storm, so I wouldn't be surprised to see some very strong wind gusts here along the coast, along with the storm surge, as the impacts are going to be spreading, 200, even 300 miles out from the center of the storm. So with that being said, that is pretty much it for today's weather forecast video. I will leave a link to the National Hurricane Center website in the description below, so you guys can stay updated with the latest information on the system over the next day as it eventually makes landfall here Thursday evening. And I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and also share this video with your friends. It does help get this forecast out to more people, and it motivates me to make more videos for you guys. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, and peace out.